interactive document feature in FeedbackFruits allows instructors to upload their docs, PDFs, or other types of text files for students to read and interact with. This allows them to engage in questions and discussions directly in the document asynchronously. This video will be an introduction to this interactive document tool. We'll be covering how to access FeedbackFruits within Brightspace, along with how to create an interactive document activity and go through the interactive document settings. To access FeedbackFruits in Brightspace, go to your content area, and then find the module you wish to add your FeedbackFruits activity to. In that module, select Existing Activities, and then choose FeedbackFruits. Once you open FeedbackFruits, you can access the interactive document tool one of two ways. The first and recommended option for Stony Brook users is to select Institutional Libraries. From here, choose the Interactive Document template with accessibility guidelines. We recommend this option as it provides some accessibility tips to keep in mind while creating activities. As a general note, FeedbackFruits is accessible. However, it does not make your content accessible. This means your content must be made accessible prior to uploading it to your activity. When you are ready to use this template, select the Copy and Edit button. Another way you can open an interactive document activity is by choosing the Start from Scratch option when opening FeedbackFruits. Then you can select Interactive Document and choose Copy and Edit to get started. To begin creating your activity, make sure to include a title and instructions. If you wish to add audio or visual instructions, click Add Items. This gives you the option to record audio, record video, record your screen, or attach a file to your instructions. Below the instructions is the Student Collaboration section. This allows you to control how students can collaborate with each other if you allow for discussions in your activity. By default, students can view and reply to all discussion threads posted by their classmates. However, you do have the ability to limit discussions to assigned groups in this collaboration section. If you wish to allow for discussions within groups, you must first make sure that you have groups created in Brightspace. After you've confirmed that you have groups within Brightspace, you can select the Change button in the Student Collaboration section. Then you can change the setting from Individually, see contributions of everyone, to Individually, see contributions within groups. Then you can select Next. And now you can choose the group listings you wish for this to apply to. And you would just select Done to finish. However, I'm going to keep this as an individual activity where students can see the contributions of everyone. Now you should be ready to upload your document, which you can do within the Document section. If you use the accessibility template we mentioned previously, there should already be a file listed. You can select Change File in this document area to replace that file with your own. If you're starting from scratch, you can select the Select Document button or drag and drop the file in the document area to upload it. Now you can begin to make your document interactive by adding questions or discussions. To do so, open up your document and then begin to highlight text that you wish to base a question or discussion prompt on. You'll notice when highlighting text, you'll see this pop up to add a question card or a discussion. I'm going to add a question. there are 4 different question types you can choose from: multiple choice, scratch off, polls, or open questions. I'm going to start off by adding a multiple choice question. First, I'll type the question for my students, and then I can type answers for students to choose from. If I need to add multiple answers, I can select Add Answer at the bottom of my current choices. And I can indicate which answer is correct by selecting the checkbox next to it. I can also provide an explanation for each answer to explain why it is correct or incorrect. If there are multiple correct answers, I can toggle on the setting to allow participants to select multiple answers. And in the settings section, I also have the ability to require students to answer this question before continuing in the document. Now that I'm finished, I'll select Publish. Now let's go ahead and highlight another area of the document to create another question. This time, it's going to be a scratch-off question. This question type requires students to enter an answer. However, if they answer incorrectly, they can continue to choose answers until the correct one appears. Similar to the multiple choice question, I can type my question prompt, I can enter answers and additional answers, and I can choose the correct answer. With scratch-off questions, there can only be one correct answer, so it's slightly different from the multiple choice option. But similar to the multiple choice option, I do have the ability in the settings area to require students to answer before continuing in the document. I'm not going to add a poll question for this document. However, I just wanted to mention it works very similar to adding the other 2 questions by highlighting the text and choosing that poll option. You'll see it looks pretty similar, with the exception that you can't choose a correct answer for a poll question since it's opinionated. By choosing Open Question, you can have students provide a written response to a question prompt. At the top, we can write the question, and below it, we can optionally type what the correct answer is. When students provide their answer, they will see what you listed in this correct answer box. FeedbackFruits will give the students the ability to indicate whether or not their answer was correct. This is a form of self-scoring within the interactive document tool. In the settings area, we can see similar settings to what we saw with other question types. However, we have an additional setting exclusive to this question type, which is to allow for students to reply to given answers by other students on the question, allowing them to have a conversation in response to the question prompt. Now that we've added some questions, let's include a discussion. I can do that the same way I added a question card, by highlighting the text I want to base this discussion on. And then I'll choose Discussion Thread. I can start by writing my prompt in this text box. And if I wanted to, I could choose this plus icon near the instructions to add audio or visual instructions. I could also use this plus icon to attach a file to the instructions as well. But since I don't have a need for this, I'm going to take a look at the settings available to me. And here you'll see there's only one setting, and that's to require students to contribute to the thread before continuing in the document. So I think that this is ready to go, so I'm going to choose Post. After you've created your activity, you can go to the Scheduling Deadlines area to decide when the activity opens or closes. You can do this by enabling the slider for the setting titled Decide when students start and stop having access, even during class. Once enabled, I can choose when the learning step should be open to students. My options are immediately, after a certain date, or after manually opening the activity. In this example, I'll choose immediately. And likewise, I can choose when the learning step closes. My options are either never, after a certain date, or manually. I'm going to choose manually. In the Student Contributions section, you can choose whether or not you want your students to create their own discussion threads in the activity. If so, you can enter in the amount of discussion threads that they must start. If you yourself posted a discussion thread for students to respond to, you can also choose how many replies to a thread a student must leave. Finally, you have the option for students to create question cards of their own. If enabled, you can choose the amount of question cards they must create, and you can also choose if you wish for students to see each other's answers for question cards created by other students. In the Anonymity section, you have the ability to make discussion threads and replies anonymous so that students cannot see who wrote which post. Please note, however, instructors can always see which student posted or replied to a thread. And finally, in the copyright protection area, you can choose if you would like for students to download the material you uploaded. When you're finished setting up your assignment, you can select Save at the top of the screen. If you would like to see how grading can be added, as well as how to view students' work, please see the links in the description. Thank you for watching. For more FeedbackFruits related content, please subscribe to our channel.